Well, she is boxed in for the 3 years you've just given, but also because we've got no growth, and because the external environment, particularly the side effects of Trump, are just making the management of the economy much more difficult. But some of those boxed-in problems were avoidable, and maybe they've just got to be confronted. I mean, the idea that they can't raise tax on the big revenue raisers was a terrible mistake from an economic management point of view. You understand the politics.
So we're talking national insurance, VAT and income tax.
Yes, exactly, and that's, what, 75–80% of revenue? And so they're then forced into these strange tax measures around inheritance tax, national insurance, which do a lot of economic damage because they're distorting, and they annoy key groups of people. So they've got their tax strategy badly wrong, and the Chancellor's having to try and make the numbers add up, which is extremely difficult.
The problem is, and you are a far greater economist than I can ever dream of being.
No, I think that.
Well, I think so. But you have a greater understanding of the Laffer curve than I will ever understand. But the truth of the matter is, and all our viewers know a little bit about the Laffer curve because they're a smart bunch, there is an optimum level of taxation where you get more tax, and the higher up or the lower, 0 and 100, you don't get any tax. But if you up tax too much, then you are not going to get the desired result. Is that the problem facing the UK economy at the moment, given the fact that it was the Conservatives who took us to the highest tax take ever, and now Labour are just compounding that potentially?
Well, the Laffer curve applies at certain points on the analysis of, say, capital gains tax, very high rates of income tax, but we're very far removed from that. I mean, countries like Denmark and France have a tax rate which is about 10% higher in relation to GDP than the UK. We're in no danger of a Laffer curve problem, though, of course, you've got to take into account incentives, and an example of where the incentives really applies at the bottom end. I mean, you're trying to get all these people who are on disability benefits into work. The problem is that in order to do it, you've got to remove the disincentive, and that is expensive, having a taper that is generous to people moving into work.
Yeah, the welfare benefit, we can touch upon that actually, Vince, because I know it's probably a cause close to your heart as well. The truth is, our welfare bill in the United Kingdom is going up and up and up aggressively at a time when other countries have actually stemmed the flow post-COVID as well. Is there a specific problem about the UK while we have enormous welfare cost increases?
Well, if you add up the total welfare bill, it's not out of the ordinary. There is a particular problem with working-age people, many of whom have not gone back to work. It may be a statistical quirk, actually, because our ONS is such a mess. But let's assume that the facts are right. You know, we do have people who didn't get back to work because of mental illness, long COVID, and there's a real issue there that the government's got to deal with. But, I mean, the big challenges are actually around the state pension, the triple lock. I mean, that's really the big political issue that's coming up. I strongly supported it as a way of getting pensioners out of poverty, but we've probably got to the point, particularly with the 2.5% guaranteed uplift, in a slow-growing economy, that's proving to be a very generous concession.
So are we, I was going to say la-la land, but are we in some form of interregnum at the moment where the Chancellor's going to talk about things that, A, she can't control those external factors, but B, actually not want to get pinned down on the tax rises that many people, including yourself, believe perhaps are inevitable in the autumn statement? So we've kind of got a period from today on towards that autumn statement where we're not going to get the truth.
Well, you get the sense that today is a bit of a holding action.
Yeah.
In any event, it's not a proper budget, and they're just trying to make the numbers add up for the day. It's proving very, very difficult. But at some point, we're going to have to confront the fact that if defence is going to be at the kind of levels that you need in a serious Cold War situation, it's probably about twice present levels in terms of GDP, then something's going to have to give. And although it's right that we deal with inefficient public spending, but we did quite a lot of that when I was in the government, tax, I'm afraid, is the main lever that's open to them.
Yeah.